When you take a look at the numbers, Jay, only about 30% of people who are in retirement actually use a financial advisor. That means 70% of you are trying to do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
There's some ups and some downs of that, but there is an article in MarketWatch that said this: if you want to do it on your own, it's okay for a while, because you get into retirement in your 60s and you see this big balance in your 401k and you go, how can I screw that up? And then you're pretty sharp at this point. You just got out of work and everything's going along just fine. Then you get into your 70s and maybe your mid 70s, maybe even your 80s, and then you start to lose a little interest and you are prone to mistakes because some new things are coming up. MarketWatch says that's when you should sit down with a financial advisor. So I see some ups and some downs on that one. Jay, what do you say when you hear that?
Yeah. Let's go back to that statistic first, right?
All right.
Numbers are wonderful because they can say everything and nothing and also mislead you all at the same time.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So I've worked for different Fortune 100 companies over the years. I've kind of told you stories about it offline in the past. And what was always interesting, and anybody listening who's worked for a big company will know what I'm saying with this. When you get the numbers, when you get the reports, what do we need these numbers to say? Because we can get numbers to say a lot of different things that we want, right?
Yep.
So I'm doing it from memory now. You said 30% use a financial advisor, 70% don't.
Right.
Yeah, was that the number? Yeah.
Yep.
I would say that is absolutely spot on and an incredibly misleading statistic at the same time.
Okay.
And this
How
is why,
so?
right? Well, let's not even set the bar high, okay? Don't make it 1 million, don't make it 500. Let's just talk about the percentage of retirees that have, let's say, 250,000 or more saved for retirement. Right? Because if you've got less, yeah, you can go and talk to a financial advisor, but we've got to have an emergency fund. We've got to have some conservative stuff. So, how much can you do, right? Under that, about 25 to 30% of retirees have 250,000 or more saved.
Okay. I see.
So
Yeah.
your numbers are actually also saying that almost 100% of people that have 250 or more use an advisor. That's what it's really saying, right? So you look at it on the surface, you're like, wow, that's surprising. Put some color around it and it becomes a lot clearer. And what you'll find is as you move up that net worth or investment amount category up to 500, up to 1 million, that stat becomes significantly higher, right? As you would expect. The vast, vast majority of our clients are engaging us either a few years before retirement or at retirement, right? So they're not waiting till they're 80 or whatever it is. And you mentioned something. You said you get out of retirement, you're kind of sharp, you're still kind of active, you're a bit more switched on. You're right with what you said, because if you're going to do your own investments, and there's some people that I think should, we have plenty, no, not plenty, but we have people that come in and see us and we're just like, hey, look, you should do this yourself, right? You're very engaged in it. I don't think you want to hand it off to somebody. You're pretty smart. You know what you're doing, and you enjoy it, right? You're going to have to put several hours a week at least into this if you want to stay on top of it and you want another job. Our clients don't. They're like, see ya, we're going traveling. That's why we retired, right? And we're handing this off to you. But to your point, what we are seeing now, and this has ticked up over the last few years. We have our clients, let's say the average age is, 63. I don't know. I have to go and do the numbers. They're bringing their parents in now that are in their mid-80s, late 80s. And they're like, hey, my mom and dad have had $3 million sitting in CDs since the 90s. And they need to do something with it. And so, I think there's elements of that is those stats that are accurate. There's a lot more color behind it than it appears, right?
Gotcha. When I also think about what happens to you in your 70s and 80s, that's where it actually becomes kind of complicated. So
Mhm,
I can
mhm.
see how somebody would just draw money down and that's okay. Everything's going just fine. Then you get to 75 and somebody says, "Have you heard of RMDs?" And then you go, "What?"
What?
And
Yeah,
then you got to figure that out. And then you start to see your mortality in your 70s and 80s, and you start to think about legacy planning and how's this going
right.
to affect your kids and things. And then it starts to get a little more complicated. So I understand that's where
Sure.
you probably need somebody. But you've said this very much in the past. Is if somebody comes up against RMDs and goes, I don't need this money, and they're making me take this money, and it's causing me all sorts of problems. What can I do? And your answer is, gee, you should have come see me 10 years ago. And I never want to
Mhm,
have an
right.
advisor look at me and say that.
Yeah, and you've lost, you retire at 60. For most people now, RMDs are 73, 74, 75. It's a graduating schedule. If you lose that, whatever you want to call it, 13, 14, 15-year runway, and you just arrive at RMDs, you've lost some of the most important tax planning years of your
Uh-huh.
life.
Uh-huh.
And even if we take it a step further, right? So they're looking at those stats of, oh, people getting into their 70s, 80s, whatever it is, and then they're looking for a bit more professional help. I would also say more than likely what's happening is those people that are further down the retirement path, I guess you'd call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The further you get down there, the more and more of them had pensions. The
Okay.
more and more of them were less reliant on managing and distributing investments to make sure they don't run out of money.
Uh-huh.
So if you've got a few $100,000 in a 401k or whatever it is, but you've got a nice fat pension, you've got some social security coming in, that's probably what you're living off. And then
Uh-huh.
the investments, it's not that they don't matter, but you're not depending on them for your retirement, right? The people that we've got rolling through the office now, if there's a pension, it's not much.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And they're not gonna be living off just that small pension, if anything, and Social Security. They've got a variable account there. They might have a nice size 401k. We see that all the time. But now it's, "Hey, I'm not on autopilot. I don't have my parents' situation. I've gotta make this last the rest of my life, and it's on me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
One of the things that I see from our conversation here is retirement financially gets more complicated as you get into it. And
Mhm, mhm.
why not know that ahead of time, see that down the line, and say, okay, we're not going to want to go here. Let's head this one off before it happens.
Right.
And we're going to do that with some planning here in our 60s. To sit down with Jay and go through that and kind of take the telescope and say, okay, what am I headed for when I'm 80, when I'm 85, when I'm 90? What's going to happen there? And how do I prepare for that now? That's a good conversation to have. And Jay will have that for you at no cost or obligation. Give him a call or use the website. Here's the website, retire210.com. Pretty simple. Retire210.com. Tool around the website. You can get a copy of Jay's book, Wall Street's Game. Absolutely no charge on that. And let's schedule a meeting. Actually sit down and go through your concerns, your worries about retirement, all of these things. You see your friends retire. They seem to be doing okay. How are things going to go with you?